road, shall we? So it's Wednesday, it's 7:30, and it's Careers Club for me, Graham Martin, on Careers Accelerator. I posted a little welcome video a little while ago on Facebook. Still haven't got the hang of this twisty thing. Got it all around again. Simon, you might get some feedback coming through. So can you just mute yourself? Or could I do it for you? Let me just mute that. Do that for you. Great stuff. So who else we got here? Elle, how are you? Do you want to unmute yourself and say hello? Right.
Oh, hello. Hi, Graham. Can you hear me?
How are you?
Yeah, I'm very well. Hi, my name is Saima. So this is my first time to be on Zoom.
Your first time on Zoom ever?
No, on the Zoom ever is second time, but on your webpage is the first time.
Well, you're very welcome. You're with friends, so lovely to see you. I hope you pick up some useful tips.
Thank you.
Any questions? You know, we're certainly going to be saying to people, you know, chat with me.
All right.
What we're going to do here, we're going to admit some more people. Little. Gavin Ingham, unmute yourself, my friend. Show us your face. You got good hair going on?
No.
Is that why you're not?
No, I've got the kids, so I'm going to stay fairly low key because otherwise they'll be in and out. So if I have it all off, it won't upset your whole thing. That's why I had it off.
Okay. In fact, can we all unmute ourselves just for a minute? Everybody unmute themselves. Please. Andy, unmute yourself. Yeah. Charles, Natalie, Elle, Sarah, as many of you as you can, please unmute yourselves. So, before we start the show, and this is going to be dreadful from a feedback point of view, but you know, it might be kind of fun. It's my dear friend Gavin's birthday tomorrow, so can we wish Gavin Ingham, my collaborator, mentor, coach, and very close friend, happy birthday in the time-renowned way of singing. Happy birthday.
Oh, no.
To you.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Gavin. Happy birthday to you.
Well, I've got to say that was terrible, but thank you very much.
Please. That's bonkers.
Well, I've got a present for you, Graham, in that case.
What's that?
What do you think of my new Zoom background? Here, hang on.
Did you do that this afternoon?
Time well, don't ever tell me I waste my time.
Martin, can you see what he's done? Martin Masenda. He's done a really nice background. Hello, how are you? So who's still Max? I unmute you, can mute you. Charles, I'm going to cut you back. Thanks for your great voice on the birthday. So it should just be me and Gavin. So how many people we got watching on Facebook, Gavin? Do you know?
Give me a minute, I'll have a look.
Okay, right. So let's start. Let's get cracking, shall we? We've got a lot to cover, and we're going to use this opportunity to talk about LinkedIn. So I've got a bunch of notes here, 5 pages. So what I'm going to try and do is just shuffle through as many of these points as possible. Just waiting for Peter. Peter, you're most welcome. Hello, Andrew Webster, Michael Lowry. Lovely to see you all. Thank you. Some of you first time here with Careers Club from me, Graham Martin and Careers Accelerator. You're very welcome. So let's talk about LinkedIn. Now, if you want these notes, just email me afterwards. It's easy, isn't it? hello@careersaccelerator.com. I'll send you both sets of notes. What about that? And if you're coming on my 5-day challenge starting on the 27th, I'm going to be going into individual people's CVs and LinkedIn profiles. So we're really going to get, as my son who's 24 says, really granular. So firstly on LinkedIn, always write on the first person. Your headline can be your current or your sought after job title, or how you describe yourself by what you do. Now, Stan and I are having a conversation today about how you express yourself. Stan's a pretty high-powered consultant, and it's not so much what you do, it's what you can actually deliver. Stan, if you want to show us your face and give us a thumbs up, that'd be great. Although I know you've had your hair cut recently, so you're looking good for an aren't you? How about that? Good for a haircut. If you expect recruiters and potential employers to find you, then you've got to try and make sure by your job title or the company you've worked at. So supposing you are RICS surveyor at Savills, you'd probably put that in your headline, okay, about you. Maybe you didn't work for such a large company, you might not use that in your headline, you'd use it further down in the copy in the text. But nonetheless, just think about Boolean search, AI, the computers. Hey Joe, how are you? So just think about what's looking for. Keywords, Boolean search, they're searching on the headlines. And we never really know how the algorithms change. They are swapping them around. But I do think that, Chris, yeah, I'll email those to you afterwards. So what we're going to do is we're going to talk about making sure that you know about Boolean search, not necessarily on this one, but another session perhaps. Please avoid all the cliches, enthusiastic, hardworking, team player. Really, they're just not relevant, okay? They're not relevant at all, because everybody says they're enthusiastic, passionate, and hardworking, don't they? In over 3 decades, I've never known anybody, an employer, say to me, Graham, this time send me somebody who's not passionate. Don't send me a team player. Just send me somebody who's going to sit at the back and create problems, okay? So, write your profile with AI in mind, please. Artificial intelligence, AI. Recruiters now seeing CVs first time about 35% of the time. When I'm searching for a CV, I'm typing into LinkedIn, Read, Total. I'm using Boolean search. And that the spiders, the bots, if you like, are kind of delving down deep, and they're finding people specifically based upon those key phrases. So you've got to get your head around that. I was talking to a smashing lady yesterday. She'll be joining us later, initial S. And her LinkedIn profile, kind of written about 5 years ago. It was very nice, but it just wasn't hitting the buttons as far as AI is concerned. And clearly that was a bit of a challenge for her. Carlos, how are you? I'm just going to mute you. There we go. It's the first 45 words of your profile that are initially visible. That's what the bot's searching for straight away. So make them really count. If any of you followed me last week talking about the CV, use your profile to highlight your specific skills and achievements, and really any awards, promotion, but crucially what you can do for companies. If you've worked in any specific sectors or industries that you want to continue to be known for, use those. I'm doing some work with a chap at the moment, Stephen, and he's in the automotive OEM manufacturing sector. That's what he wants to continue doing. So he's doing just that. What I find is that commercial accountants, CIMA, ACCA people, they tend to say, they talk about their qualifications, but of course today employers who are recruiting finance professionals, accountancy professionals, what are they looking for? Well, they're looking to say, what can you do? How can you save me money? Can you rationalize the team? Can you generate the same amount of activity with fewer staff? Can you introduce new software? If people have been using Sage for some time, well, then maybe it's time to move over to Xero. And if you're using Xero, well, what are the savings specifically if you're going to be driving towards Xero? In terms of outsourcing staff, that's another key thing that we need to consider if we're looking at managing a team. I've got more and more clients saying to me today, I'm now actively looking, Graham, for somebody who could evidence the fact that they can actually work from home. And, and do they actually have do they have the evidence? They've got a home. You know, I'm going to be taking up pictures of the home office, thinking about, you know, asking the questions about what the setup is. They've got good broadband. You know, all these kind of things are crucially important. Are your abilities supported, genuinely supported by statistics? You know, can you evidence these? If you can't, then you're struggling, because you're competing more and more with other people, aren't you? Yeah. By the way, if you're coming to this late, don't worry. It's going to be on Facebook. It's recorded. We'll be uploading it afterwards and so forth. Okay. What I suggest you do is spend time looking at other people's profiles who are perhaps prevalent in your sector, or maybe working in the business that you want to work on with yourself. Okay. You know, use those as exemplars and try and get a feel for how many people they've got as contacts. It's really useful. And, you know, make a commitment to work at building your profile every week when we're, you know, covering this off a little bit more detail. Use an up-to-date photograph. You know, so many of us, me included, using photographs that in my occasion are 2 years old. But I do know some people that are using photographs that, quite frankly, are 10 years before them. It's like going on a dating site, really, and seeing a picture of something, you think, oh, they're quite nice. And then, you know, you click and you have a contact, and the relationship potentially ensues over, you know, the internet or whatever platform. And then you get to meet them face to face, and sadly, they're nothing like the photograph. So when we think about the banner across the top, I think that there's absolute value in, number one, getting rid of that blue standard LinkedIn banner with the stars. Yeah, dump that. Either use Canva or a teenager, or go on Fiverr and develop something which is bespoke to you. You know, people I work with, I tend to say, if you want to stand out, you need a standout LinkedIn logo. So start thinking about, you know, who are you? What are you for? Stan, what are you for? How can you communicate that effectively in just that little bit of LinkedIn real estate at the top? Pictures of you at work, not stock pictures, pictures of you actually doing the job. If you're in meetings, if you're in accountancy, maybe you've got some high profile clients that you're allowed to talk about that's on your company website. We'll use those logos for marketeers as well. And lawyers, if you're acting on behalf of certain clients that's within the public domain, again, use those logos. Cheers, water, not gin. It's funny, we talk about photographs, don't we? And I've been quite ambivalent about the use of photographs on CVs. But actually, increasingly, and this was very much, you know, the Eastern Europeans, you know, started to talk about, you know, putting their photographs on, and I was a bit negative, quite frankly. But actually, it's worked out really well. So, you know, if we're on LinkedIn with an image, why don't we put that on our CV as well? What do we think? Yeah. Firstly, can everybody hear me all right? Just a thumbs up from anybody that I can see pictures of. Martin, Raj, Jonathan, Isaac. Yeah, good stuff. Thanks, Raj. Appreciate that. Let's talk about what to do with it. Now, LinkedIn has got 575,000 members worldwide. What about that? 40% are active every single day. We've got 25 million users in the UK, and that's 62% of the workforce. So, you know, I think it's a very, very wealthy person, a very, very wealthy person that is actually not on LinkedIn, or somebody who's not that bothered, as in has got enough work coming out their ears. But with the change of pace, with the change of economy, with so many organizations starting to talk to people about letting people go, frankly, you know, furloughs come to the end. I've got lots of clients, Mandy, who are saying to me, you know what, we're going to let some people go. Accounts teams, particularly 10 people, let's get rid of 30%. Maybe let's get rid of somebody fairly senior. People in practice as well. You know, so many law firms, accountancy practices, architectural firms are saying we can get people working from home. Or if they furloughed people, they've worked out how they can get on without so many people. So, yeah, it's going to be a very, very difficult time. You know, I reckon we'll get unemployment next summer up to about 4.5 million. Well, we haven't had that kind of level since the early 30s. It's mainly professionals that are on LinkedIn, people like us, accountants, lawyers, marketing professionals, lots of consultants, of course, because LinkedIn started in the States as a platform for IT contractors to communicate within their own community. And banking professionals, Alan, indeed, and banking professionals, thank you. Started to kind of communicate what's available. Then recruiters got in on the act, and that's where originally organizations started to look for it, look for people, IT contractors came on board, and that's how the whole thing just exploded and then became, you know, hugely successful. 93% of hiring managers are on LinkedIn. You know, companies I talk to, before they come to me, they have a look on LinkedIn first, don't they? You know, I've got a client that we're talking about recruiting an MD, probably 80 up to about 120,000 pounds. Now, before they spend money with me on a retained basis, they're going to have a good dig around LinkedIn. Why wouldn't they? They've either got Premier or Sales Nav or Recruiter Lite, and they're going to have a go. Rather than spend big bucks with me, why not? Now, how about this? I don't know if any of you actually employ staff or you head up teams. Amelia, do you want to come on board? Here we go. Here's Amelia. In work time, 30% of people look on Facebook. At work, only 8% of people are using LinkedIn. What about that? So it's really first in the morning, it's an evening thing. I'm not saying that Facebook, because we're on Facebook too, aren't we? But Facebook is more social, isn't it? It's groups. You know, I'm involved in some car groups, some sailing groups as well. But really, you know, it's Facebook is the kind of the fun stuff. LinkedIn is where the business is being made. So make sure you go up-to-date photograph. In fact, you're going to get noticed 14 times more if you've got your picture on LinkedIn than if you don't. What about that? I think you should make sure all your skills are listed. Not attributes, not traits like hard work and enthusiastic and team player. Please, not those, but your genuine skill sets. And what about your achievements? You know, if we go back to last week and the recordings available on Facebook, we consider that, well then absolutely, you know, you've got to be thinking about, well, you know, what can I achieve? You know, my dad, and forgive me if I'm banging on about this, but my dad, Harry, late Harry Martin, ex-Royal Navy, and an engineer, used to say to me, at the age of 14, he said to me, Graham, what are you for? And that was like a bucket of cold water with ice cubes in it. And it just made me realize that you've got to be able to express on a consistent basis, what are you for? What can you bring to the party? So Stan and I having a conversation about, well, what, you know, what's he for? It's about, well, what can you bring? You know, what are you for? Can I drive sales? Can I save money? Can I turn management accounts around faster than anybody else? Can I reduce the number of semi-seniors as an audit manager? You know, have I done that before successfully by implementation of new software? And if you're available right now, say so. You know, it's amazing how many people that they put their profile up on LinkedIn. They might have put it 2 years ago, and then they're suddenly looking for work, or they're now available. Now you've got to be careful if your boss doesn't know, and there are things you do, as you know, on LinkedIn to make sure that your existing cohort don't know about your changes. I'd suggest that, you know, if it's public, well then your boss is going to get to know. But just make it so obvious that you can do just that. Make sure you're available. And on that logo at the top, why not put your telephone number? Why not put your email? Now, they can't be dynamic. Rather than putting in your contact details further down, put them in that banner at the top. That makes sense? I'm looking for a thumbs up from Gavin now. Build a list of people and job titles and companies you want to be connected with. Actually write them down. start to practically use LinkedIn on a daily basis. Get up a little bit earlier, go to bed a bit later, work it. Remember, just because you ask to link with somebody doesn't mean that they're going to see it there and then. So if it's 1 o'clock in the morning, don't worry about it. I won't be sending emails to people at 1 o'clock, particularly private emails, but certainly, you know, LinkedIn, don't worry. You know, Gavin and I are working on some projects together. You know, we might ring each other at 12:30, just on this, just on that. Make sure the rest of your family are tucked up in bed before you do that. If you want to connect with people, explain why. Be authentic. If you want to expand your network in their particular sector, say so. And the reason why, just say, look, I'm looking to increase my network within your sector. Be awfully nice if we could connect. Don't try and be sharp or clever or too smart. Just literally be honest with people. Now, depending upon the level that you pay LinkedIn, depends on the number of emails they call them that you can send. But, you know, you can connect away to your heart's delight. The only thing is if you do ask to connect with people, and if they haven't connected with you in, let's say, 3-4 weeks, remove the invitation. It just looks desperate. And LinkedIn can see you're not actually being that active. If you want to be active, if you want to get noticed on LinkedIn, please make sure that you're there and you're using it. And there's a whole, you know, great, we're chatting here, but there's a whole bunch of really good tutorials. And if you want to know how to generate business leads from LinkedIn, email me later. That's not what we're talking about now, but I know a couple of really good courses, some free stuff you can go on that can help you develop that, particularly if you're looking to start your own business, as I do know some people here tonight are looking to do in the accountancy sector. If you want to connect with people that are working at a big company, you want to know what it's like to work there, just ask them, what's it like to work there? You know, if you're looking at big organizations, you're probably not necessarily going to be talking to the chief executives. Ask people, not necessarily HR, but ask other people at your similar level, so feel comfortable with your quest or whatever it happens to be. What's it like to work there? You know, what's the culture like? What's the corporate social responsibility? How are they managing COVID? How are they managing working from home? Now, I wouldn't necessarily straight away go for the kill, but there's no reason once you've started the relationship, you could say, you know, can you put me in contact with anyone else? Why wouldn't you do that to start with? It's too quick, isn't it? It's like, forgive me, coffee to sex in one go. No, it doesn't work like that. You know, you go on a date and have dinner and forgive me, I'm rambling about an area which I shouldn't be talking about, but you know, you've got to start to get to develop a relationship before you say to people, can you introduce me to somebody else? Because otherwise they think, that's what you're here for, that's what you want me for. Develop a dialogue. How's it going? You know, in accountancy, in legal, in IT, you've got to start talking about what's going on right now. You know, would you agree, Alan, if you're going to be going into a conversation with people in your sector in banking? I can't see you, Alan. You've got your camera turned off. Maybe give me a thumbs up if you agree. But you've got to develop that rapport first, haven't you? What about contacting the alumni? Contacting people that you're at university with, at college where you did your MBA, or maybe you're at secondary school with, or involved in the Scouts or the Girl Guides or Girls Brigade or Judo. These are people that you had a relationship with going back maybe decades. And they possibly, if they're part of your cohort in your earlier days, maybe you do have similar values. Well, talk to them. You know, what are they doing? Where are they working? Can they just help you? You know, we're fast approaching one of the toughest times that, well, this country's seen since before the war from an economic point of view. We've got to sharpen our sword. We've got to stop being bashful. We've got to ask for help, because a lot of people are going to need help. Join the relevant groups. Now, I don't know if you're aware, but you can actually join 52 groups on LinkedIn. I suggest you absolutely don't. Please don't. No more than 12. And check out the groups in advance. Follow them. There's no shame in coming away from a group. You know, when I do work in the commercial accountancy sector, CIMA, ACCA, and some AAT staffing support on a consultancy basis, you know, I start looking through the groups, and there are so many groups, user groups for Xero, user groups for other software, but so many of them are just not active. Hey, Chris, how are you? Nice hat. become a bit of an authority. Post comments, post articles. If you've got an ebook, if you're writing articles, put it up there. Say, look, I'm looking at publishing this. I'm looking at releasing this on a blog. Can somebody give me some feedback? You know, people are going to be very, very interested in what you've got to say. Don't be broad, go into one niche. You know, I remember some years ago, you know, Sarbanes-Oxley, of course, was the big buzzword. And people were starting to publish articles about that particular thing. You know, COVID, working from home, all these things were very, very popular for some time, weren't they? And you'll find you'll be contacted by other people that have got similar interests that are going to be following you and starting to say, well, this person is a bit of an authority. You know, how did I start this? Well, years ago, I started a YouTube channel called The Recruitment Guy, where I was talking to people about how to get recruited, how to get hired. Well, here we are 11 years later and 3,500 views and 11,000 subscribers. People just engage with me because they've seen me on YouTube. You know, a lot of you have seen me here on Careers Club, on Facebook, on Zoom, on other platforms. If you're out there talking about your speciality, if you've got a niche, and I know that if we're in accounting or, you know, if we're in banking or IT or architecture, you know, I've got an architect next door. Well, he specializes in one particular kind of work. He doesn't do extensions. He doesn't do loft rooms. You know, he's just focused on particular kind of projects. Talk about that. Go narrow and deep to get noticed, okay? When we ask people to help us, I think it's not difficult because people are very much programmed, aren't they? They're pre-programmed. If you say, can you help me, brother? You're going to get someone to help you. If you say the reason why, you're going to be even more inclined to get someone to help you. Survey some years ago in one of the big accountancy firms, interestingly, and they wanted to see if you could butt in on the queue to the old photocopy, you know, when you have one copier every floor. And people went up and said, do you mind if I go in front of you? Well, actually, people said, yeah, of course you could. When they said, because I'm in a hurry or because I'm busy, not that the others weren't, they got let in twice as many times. So just say the reason why that you're looking to look for some help. On LinkedIn, you get the opportunity to recommend people, and I suggest you do on a regular basis. Call it the law of the universe or reciprocation, but if you recommend other people are going to recommend or they're going to endorse you. And they endorse you for certain skill sets. Now, that's kind of interesting because you've almost got very little control about this, but it's what people perceive that you are good at. And when recruiters, when AI, when HR directors, when managers are looking at people, they look at those skill sets, those endorsements. What are you good for? As I was saying to Stan just yesterday, you know, what are you for? Look at endorsements. That gives AI and recruiters an automatic window into what you're doing. Reach out to your colleagues, ex-colleagues, clients, suppliers. What about your competition? How about that for being bold? Would you go, if you're an accountant, and maybe you specialize in tax, and somebody else might be involved in insolvency? Well, it's not beyond and above the realms of possibility to consider that that individual in that other accountancy firm, the other person in banking might possibly, you know what, give you a recommendation or a testimonial. If you really want to be active on LinkedIn, you've got to post 3 times a week. You know, this idea of post, copy, like, share. If somebody else is saying something which you think is good or interesting, get them on there. You know, just say, share it to your group. I really like what Gavin has said here. We've got some interesting comments. You know, Rajesh has just posted this article. What about videos? You can post your own videos on LinkedIn. Now, I suggest that you might want to do a little bit of practice first. You might want to try, you might want to work through it. But really, posting your own videos are a great way of telling people what you've done, not from a social point in the way you might do on Facebook. But on LinkedIn, it's about business. So, you know, again, I do a lot of work within the accountancy field. And if you had a particular audit without being in any way, crossing the line of confidentiality, Talk about some of the challenges, some of the problems that you resolve with you and your team. Don't take all the glory. That's inclined to be noticed by the people in that space. Now, Alan, I don't know what your speciality is in terms of banking, Alan, but I would imagine, yeah, I started work at Bearings a long time ago, but I would imagine that there's lots of different niches. Of course, there are within banking. So talk about that. Francis has just emailed me, her laptop's broken. Francis, you'll watch this on catch up, don't worry. If you blog 3 times a week, if you've got videos going out, you know what? AI is going to love that. What about your own little micro website? I'm working with somebody at the moment who's done just that. Now, they're not looking for their website to be SEO fantastic. It's not a WP, it's not a WordPress site. They've just created one of these kind of home DIY GoDaddy sites. But the main purpose was to post a video, a 5-minute video about their specific niche. They're involved in a very, very specific area of export sales to South America. So this individual wants to get known within that. So he's got this microsite that talks about that, but very importantly, he's got that as one of his contacts. He's got a link to his own website, his own URL, not one of the Mickey Mouse ones. It's kind of, you know, /BrainMartin.com. I couldn't get that, but you know what I mean? They've used their own name in the URL of the website. Don't be frightened if it's not perfect. Just work at it. And there's no embarrassment of just going back and, you know what, a week later, I can do better than that. Because do you think recruiters, do you think future employers are going to be more involved, more interested in people if they've got their own little video? I think so. What about this? What about the recruiters? Now, I come from a very mixed group. Recruiters, love them, hate them. They're here to say, potentially the 2nd or 3rd oldest profession in the world. Representing people. If there are recruiters that you'd like to work with, well then engage with them and explain why. What is that you want to be on their list? What can you do for them? What can you do for their clients? And there's no reason why you shouldn't start to develop a relationship with people on Twitter first. Imagine you've got somebody who, you know, a recruiter, high profile, lots of good contacts, but you're probably one of hundreds of people that are sending me CVs every day. I mean, literally my inbox is just, you know, I'm not doing a lot of recruitment right now. I'm mainly doing this kind of work, but I'm, you know, a tsunami of people applying for everything, sadly. So how would you get noticed by a recruiter? Follow them on Twitter. Start to build a relationship. Comment appropriately. Don't stalk them. Don't be one of those kind of individuals. But just start to talk to them reasonably. So by the time you do connect with them on LinkedIn, they're going to say, "Oh yes," and you can say, "Hi, it's Graham Martin. You know, we've been engaging on Twitter. I like what you said about XYZ. You know, how about a virtual coffee? You know, can we get together and have a conversation?" People respond to that sense of humanity, that authenticity, if you like. Gosh. Lots and lots of notes. Here's my little thing that I've put together that you might want to use, and it's in the notes, by the way. Hi John, my name is Fred and I'm a recruiter. I'm currently working for X company, but looking to take on a new challenge and transition to a company in whatever industry it happens to be. Might match up, and it might match up positions you're recruiting for. Would love to hop on the phone to discuss. Please feel free to reach out to me at a telephone number. Look forward to chatting to you. So why not put your telephone number in there? How often are you going to spend time on LinkedIn? You know, you can get lost in it. As a Premier member, you get 15 emails a day. As a Sales Navigator, you get 60. And you can roll them up over a 3-month period. It depends on your ambition in terms of, you know, how much time and what you spend on LinkedIn. But I think you should kind of, you know, get on it really. I reckon, I mean, I'm spending probably about an hour and a half a day on LinkedIn, contacting people, engaging with people, posting stuff on networks. on different user groups. You can invite up to 100 members a day to connect with you without having to use capture. So that will take you a while, won't it? And that will take you a couple of hours a day, especially using 100. I think if you're a newbie, I reckon just get your toe in the water to start with. 30 minutes, just feel your way through. But what I tend to do is I start my day with LinkedIn, I finish my day with LinkedIn. It's the last thing I do before I brush my teeth. Now, I live on my own with my dog. My kids are in their 20s in Battersea and Hertford, so I don't see them that often. So I've got that time. If you've got a young family, if you've got a partner you're very involved in, I get it, I understand. But this is going to be so important for everybody. You're in a race. You're racing against other people that are going to be behind you because they're not yet being made redundant. They're not yet looking for work. But believe me, they'll be there. And if there are opportunities, you don't want them to take the march on you. You want to be there first. Hey, Jonathan, how are you? Loving the beard. Loving the beard.
It's coming through.
Looking good, mate. We'll catch up later, yeah? I'm not saying LinkedIn should dominate your life, but I think if you're not on LinkedIn, you're serious about looking for work, this really has to be the place to start. So if you want the full notes, email me, okay? And then we're going to open up some questions, okay? I just can't see a way that we can connect with all these people actually without LinkedIn, can you? Let's have some chats. Raj, hi Graham, rather than emailing, why not post a hard copy? Raj, as always, you're so ahead of me, aren't you? Right, so let's go to chat, shall we? Anybody got any questions that you want to engage with me on? Type in now. We're kind of over time, and last week we were over an hour, just under really, and my voice is going. It's been so cold. I've got to Mandy. Yes, Mandy.
I've got quite an interesting question for you. I've been interviewing this week, and the company in question has had me into 3 interviews. The salary was already pitched at 15% less than my previous role, and I accepted that. That's fine. Things are changing. We have to make sacrifices here and there to get a position. And they've called me today to say that they're considering offering, but they want to cut the salary by a further 10%. How would you deal with that?
Well, here's the truth, Mandy. We're no longer in the driver's seat as the employee. Up until about October, that wouldn't have happened. People,
No.
We had probably for good people, we probably had about 3. Where are you based, Mandy, by the way?
What location-wise, geography-wise?
Yeah. Okay. So at that point, this time last year, you probably had about 3 great people for every decent job. So you could one person for every 3 great jobs. So you could kind of command your price. Basic salaries were going up and up and up. But of course, it was only in 2019 that we got back to 2008 salary levels. Of course, companies would say, well, it's costing more. Bearing in mind, they've got to make statutory pension contributions, and for some people, more holidays. But sadly, you've got 1 or 2 choices. You can either say, yes, please, thank you very much, or you could say no and walk away, and somebody else would like to take that role. Having said that, I'd be a pragmatist and say that actually, let's just take, it doesn't matter what salary you're on. Maybe you're on 40 and they've said they're going to offer it to you on 36, and now they're going to come in and say we're offering it at 34. Well, I'd be asking specifically, what would have to happen? What would have to occur for you to get back to, let's say, what they originally offered? Would that work for you? I don't want to talk numbers, that's confidential, but do you think you could have that dialogue?
well, I've said that. Could I have this evening to think about it? Because I knew I was going to have the opportunity to talk to you this afternoon. So I think that I will raise that dialogue with them first thing in the morning.
Mandy, if you want to email me at the end of the show, okay, with your telephone number, I'll ring you. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, I've got to take Molly for a walk, my dog, even if it's raining, and then I'll give you a ring afterwards. Is that a good idea? Yeah.
Fine, no problem.
Okay.
Thank you.
One from Louise. Do you want to mute yourself, Mandy? Louise, how do you deal with looking for work or engage with others when your whole company is on LinkedIn, but you are furloughed and don't want to give the impression you're looking for work? Louise, that's really... Oh, hi, Louise.
Hi.
Hi, that's really tough, isn't it?
Yes, I mean, my company, I originally didn't have, actually, that I was working for my company on LinkedIn, but they, yeah, it's a hard one if they sort of think that you're on there to advocate their company as well. So,
so what I would do is I, sit myself down, mug of tea and a bag of biscuits, and work through the people that you'd like to actually be connected with, and also the recruiters you want to. And I just start doing, what level of LinkedIn have you got, Louise? Do you want to off-mute yourself for a moment?
I've got a basic level, I think. So yeah, standard level.
I'd investigate Premier. That'll give you more bang for your buck. And I think I'm not sure. I think you can pay on a monthly basis. But I'd be reaching out to people. I'd be following people on Twitter. And I don't know if you saw earlier, but if you come on my free 5-day challenge starting on the 27th of July, I'm going to lift the lid on the unadvertised vacancy market and how we could all benefit from direct approaches. And there are certain things that I'd suggest you do that means actually that you don't need to say, lift the lid, blow your cover. It's jolly hard. You're furloughed, and have they given the impression about what's happening? Because the furlough criteria are changing, aren't they?
Yes, no, they haven't indicated that at all at the moment, but I get the impression that it may well go on for a while. There's a few of us who haven't returned, but it's in retail property management. So
again, I send the same courtesies I did earlier to Mandy. You've got my email address; it's there. Email me, put your telephone number. We'll jump on a call next couple of days. We'll have a coffee and a chat. Are you furloughed full time?
Yes, at the moment, yeah, till the end of July, and then we'll get notification.
Don't tell me the name of the company, but what do you do?
Property management, so I'm facilities manager within a property management company.
Yeah, that's interesting. I'm doing some work, and it's not appropriate for you, I guess, but I'm doing some work at the moment for a property management company whereupon we're actually looking for a block property manager. Do you think I can find a great person? No. And my client said to me they're looking to pay mid-late 30s. Well, the people I'm talking to are all saying that they're not furloughed. They're not looking, but they're looking to make a move, and they're all looking for over 40K. And I reckon that my client's going to have to spend that just to get somebody who's top notch. So let's let anybody else have a go. But yeah, just email me, put your number, and I'll make an arrangement to catch up, Louise. Is that okay? Cool, good. Anybody else want to come off mute and ask me a question whilst I'm here before my voice goes?
Graham.
Yes.
Hi, Graham. It's Chris here. In terms of spending time appropriately, sort of job hunting, what have you, how much time in a percentage-wise would you say is networking versus applying for jobs that are sent through job ads?
A couple of questions, non-confidential. What sector are you in and what is your job?
Well, my experience is financial services project management.
Right.
But as you know, with project management, it's, you can go anywhere with it. I think there's a lot of supply versus demand at the moment, and I think the demand is much smaller than the supply, if you see what I mean, in terms of what's happened in the last 6 months. and I think that's probably what that Mandy was mentioning earlier, is that people are offering less money now based upon they know they can because they've got so many people applying for jobs.
Yes, they are.
The question was the time.
Are you on furlough or are you actually working?
No, I took redundancy a year ago.
Okay.
But I got a nice package, so it hasn't been urgent, but
Right.
I need to sort stuff out.
So,
I can't stay redundant forever.
What's your other commitments during the daytime?
Well, due to lockdown, I have been working a couple of days a week, just doing some sort of admin stuff because I've got kids at home. We've been managing that between myself and my wife. But as we come out of that, my commitments obviously will reduce as kids go back to school in September. But I'm just sort of trying to getting ahead of the game.
Okay, well, I'm kind of pretty blunt about this. It depends on how desperate you are, how keen you are, how earnest you are about getting a job. You know, getting a job for a lot of people is a full-time job.
Yeah.
I've been in recruitment since 1988 and I've seen lots of highs and lows, recessions, mini recessions. I've done a lot of outplacement work with companies. And my mantra is really, you know, get up early, start working at 7 o'clock, give yourself a break at 8:30, get the stuff done, build a schedule in the way, you know, if you're a project manager, I don't know if you're Prince qualified or whatever, but you certainly understand about, you know, work, don't you?
Yeah.
I'd be having a severe look in the mirror, particularly bearing in mind that we've had summer. That was April, May, wasn't it? You know, this is it.
Yeah.
Summer's gone.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
I've got a lot.
But my original question was about the sort of focus of time in effort in terms of the split between applying for jobs versus networking.
Okay, well, I feel actually that the two are meshed together. I think that without the networking, you're not going to get the opportunity to apply for jobs.
Right.
You need to build the contacts. Now, okay, you've probably got your CV might be on CV Library. It's going to be hopefully on your LinkedIn profile. You're on Reed, you're on Total Jobs. There'll be websites specifically, of course, you know, for project managers. I get that. But as you said, there are so many people out there and not as many opportunities. And, you know, you look like you're near a 40 and you are 25. And the young kids are coming through just wanting experience but not a lot of money. You've got experience and a few grey hairs, I guess. But the younger,
I'm hiding them. I still haven't had the post-lockdown haircut yet. So
have you got a ponytail yet?
I might start applying for trucker jobs now I've got this hat. But
whereabouts are you based?
Down the road from Hertford. I'm in Hemel Hempstead.
Okay, I'm in Enfield. Yeah, so I know where we are. And lots of businesses around there, lots of distribution firms.
Yeah, don't even have to go into London, really. But
I think it's about the networking is your foundation, getting all your resources together, and then starting to apply for jobs. You know, what I do worry about, and Chris, I know this is not you because you're a project manager, but a lot of people, they jump into the job market without all the tools, without a great CV, without a brilliant profile, without a strategy. And I just think that's such a shame because, you know, you get a one chance to make a great impression.
Yeah.
So today, for the very first time since I've been in Careers Club, I thought I'd put a shirt and a jacket and a tie on.
Yeah.
You know, now, if you're going to have a Zoom meeting with a potential employer, you know, you've got to do that, haven't you?
Yeah.
And do you know what else I'm going to say?
You don't know who's watching. Yeah.
Get rid of the beard. Get rid of the beard. Because you're going to get some people who are prejudicial against people with beards. It's BS, it really is, but there are some people. So you've got to kind of almost be anodyne. And when we're holding these Zoom meetings, think very clearly about what it looks like behind you. So I've been doing a bit of work with a chap. He's in the accountancy sector, so not in practice. He's a commercial accountant, which is where I do most of the work on the accountancy side. And we're just talking about staging the room. Now, it was pretty noisy. His kids were making noise outside, and you know, My friend Gavin has got 3 kids under 7, so we all know about, you know, the challenges around that. But trying to get a bit of a space which looks good, white background, made with a plant, with a chair that's just below your shoulders, you know, rather than a high back chair. These are all little things that make a huge difference. I was going to talk about time. My close friend Mark, who I've known for 30 years, is an HR director. I won't tell you his surname because it's inappropriate. But Mark comes from the Orkneys in Scotland. Now the Orkneys are as far away from Glasgow as London is from Glasgow, you know, right at the top of the British Isles. And they've got a very, very Presbyterian, hard-nosed work ethic. He refused to have a drink. He refused to go and have any fun in his garden other than the weekends until he'd found a job. He was almost hair shirt, you know, wouldn't have a drink, wouldn't go out, wouldn't enjoy himself and focus. Now, the great thing is that, and it did take him 3 months, but he's now on the highest paid salary of his life, you know, earning over 100 additional benefits over and above. But he was all about the networking, Chris, you know. He really wanted to create the network first, and that's why it took him 3 months to build that understanding. He was starting to blog, starting to make comments. Yeah, he was absolutely, you know, engaging with recruiters. But if you plug and come on my 5-day event on the 27th of July, you'll learn how to search for and go for the off jobs market, and that's what, you know, I was able to help my friend Mark with. How to find the jobs that never advertised. Because if you're just applying for project management roles, Chris, you're in a long line, aren't you?
Yeah, sorry, Graham, went on mute. Absolutely, I appreciate that, and I appreciate it's the marketplace, especially R35 and everything else at the moment.
Yeah,
it's really obviously knocked everything into a tin hat. But that's why I'm also looking at other things as well. I'm going through a redundancy program in terms of not just applying for a job because it's what I know. It's actually looking at my own values and what I want to do, what I get most benefit from. So, you know, but I was interested in your view in terms of the time that you spend or you would recommend to spend between networking versus applying for job ads, because I think a lot of time is wasted applying for jobs that are just coming through on emails rather than actually adding some value to that.
Again, why don't you just grab my email, hello@careersaccelerator.com, put in your phone number. I'm jammed out through to the end of the week. Give me an idea about when we can have a virtual coffee, half an hour next week. Yeah, we'll just talk about a few things. There's some quick wins that I can offer you, you know, clients I've worked with, things I've learned working with these people in consultancy to try and give you a little bit of an edge. How about that?
Great, thank you. Cheers, Graham.
Welcome. You're very welcome. And do join me on the 5-day challenge because you'll learn some stuff there. I'm just going to bring in, if I can, my friend William, who's calling us from the Southern Hemisphere. William or Bill.
Yep. Hiya there, Chris. How you doing, mate?
How are you?
Well, I've just woken up, hence the reason why you don't have the video. It's not a nice picky this time of the morning.
Bill,
yep. Yeah, very good. Just hearing. Sorry.
How are you?
Yeah, I'm good. Can't say I think with Chris, as you know from last year, etc. Like last year was a lot more cost than benefit, and that was in the contracting market, program management. What have I done over the lockdown? Well, in New Zealand, etc. I've spent it to re-examine. It's, you know, I could go like Chris had there. You know, just not just looking for jobs and what I do. So I'm actually looking at it from the point of view of reskilling, like, you know, business and analyst. You know, it's sort of allied to something which I've done before. Even just changing whole things. I'm looking at sort of utilizing the skills I've got to maybe develop, you know, advance the business idea which I've got, which I'm working on. But I use the lockdown for that.
Yes, good. Yeah, using that resource. Chris, I'm going to kind of put you on the spot here a little bit. I'm not going to unmute you, but I'm kind of just interested. Well, you are unmuted, that's fine. Have you actually invested in yourself? Have you accrued any new skills during this period of time?
Have I invested myself in what, sorry?
Have you accrued any additional skills throughout this period?
Well, as I say, I've been actually I've been going through, I've been asked to support someone that's actually putting a redundancy package online, and with my background, they wanted me to test run it for them. So I've been doing some of that, and I've also been doing some other stuff from other people that have been contacting me as well. But it's kind of the networking thing, really. They've obviously seen the value of my experience.
What I'm hearing is, for everybody's benefit here before we go, what I'm hearing is actually that clients are starting to say to people interview, Zoom interviews, that's how we're going first off. You know, you've got to get used to Zoom. So, how did you invest your time during lockdown? If people don't come up with a pretty decent answer, you know what? There's other people who've got better responses. So look, we're at the hour. These careers clubs started at about, we were doing about 20 minutes, 25 minutes. And now it's turned into something else, which is fantastic. It's turned into a genuine community, a Q&A situation. We've got people coming on asking real questions to real life situations, which we can all start to share. So, you know, it's my privilege, and thank you so much for giving me the opportunity to share with you. Maybe we can all learn together. And, you know, I do look forward to seeing you next week. Beg your pardon. And please do join me on the 27th. I'll be sending out invites on that. But if you're around tomorrow on Gavin's birthday, you can find Gavin at gavingham.net on the internet. You can find him on Gavingham /Thrive. And it's his birthday tomorrow. I'm going to unmute Gavin in case you want to tell us about what's on tomorrow. Is there a recipe for sharing tomorrow, Gavin? Is Gavin there?
No, but do you like my backdrop?
Yeah, I do. What are you for? You were listening, weren't you? What are you?
Sorry?
I'm going to that.
I thought you'd love that.
It makes me think of my dad, Harry. What are you for, son?
I know. I knocked it up for you. Yeah, tomorrow is just a lunch with Gavin at midday, and really just talking about what I've learned in the last year in relation to life, love, and the universe, really. So a bit of an odd one tomorrow, but if anybody wants to come, they'll be more than welcome. And the easiest way to find that is actually directly through Facebook, because all the join-ups are on there, and it's the IM10 group, which actually would be a good group for people anyway, because it's all about motivation and focus and productivity and stuff. So anybody who's looking for a job, certainly a useful piece of positivity, I think.
Brilliant. I'm about to run out of recording space, so good night, everybody. See you next Wednesday. Have a great week. Enjoy the weekend. Thank you so much for inviting me into your homes. Seriously, from my heart, I just love doing this. Thank you for giving me this opportunity. Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thanks, Frank.
Bye.
Bye.
Okay.